Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Hub back in the video today, and today the Atlanta Falcons have released backup tight end Jonnu Smith, and I got to say there's been a fair share of roster cuts this offseason so far, and there have really only been about 3 roster cuts that have surprised me, and we've seen a lot of veterans and good players, effective players get cut. This is one of 3 moves so far that have genuinely surprised me. It's this move right here, Jonnu Smith getting cut. It's an earlier move that happened this morning. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers releasing Shaq Barrett, and also a couple of days ago when we saw the Miami Dolphins release Xavier Howard. Now, Howard and Shaq Barrett are a lot better than Jonnu Smith. Also, two other guys are defensive players, and Jonnu Smith is a tight end, so he's an offensive player. But Jonnu Smith, for what he did for this Falcons team as a backup tight end, I thought for a backup tight end, playing his ass off out there. 17 games, 6 starts, 70 targets, 50 receptions, nearly 600 receiving yards, and 3 touchdowns, 582 the exact yards for him. And yeah, so for a backup tight end, to be the backup for a guy like Kyle Pitts, who, yes, he's inefficient, but a good tight end, very good right there. Poor quarterback, not a good quarter. So here's a couple things. Backup tight end and a backup tight end to a guy like Kyle Pitts, who, yes, is inefficient, but is a very good tight end. And also very poor quarterback play with 2 guys like Desmond Ridder and Taylor Heineke. I think with that profile right there, 600 yards and 3 touchdowns as a backup tight end with terrible quarterbacks on the roster, that's a really good stat line with 600 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns as a backup tight end. Honestly, it surprised me. I thought there was a really good chance Jonnu Smith would get moved this offseason. That doesn't surprise me. That's not the part that surprises me. I thought that there would be teams that would genuinely trade a decent pick for him. I mean, we saw the Falcons give up a 6th-round pick for Jonnu Smith last year. Maybe it was a 7th-round pick. The Falcons gave up like a 7th or 6th-round pick. I believe it was a 6th, but it very well might have been a 7th. This was a season after Jonnu Smith with the New England Patriots played in 15 games with 8 starts, 38 targets, 27 receptions, with 245 receiving yards and 0 touchdowns. And he was still worth a 6th or 7th-round pick. Now, with the Falcons, he had 600 receiving yards and 3 touchdowns. I really think this is a dumb move by the Falcons. I think he would have been nice to keep. I don't think they should have kept. I think they did the good move by getting rid of him, but I think he could have had some trade value. I think they could have got a 5th-round pick for him. I would say at the best a 5th-round pick. Very well, probably would have not been able to get a 4th-round pick, but I think you could have got a 5th and a 7th-round pick for him, or a 6th and a 7th. I think you would have been able to get multiple picks for him. I think a team, knowing what he did last season, would, if I were a GM, which I'm not, if I were a GM and knowing what Jonnu Smith did as a backup tight end and with the poor quarterback play, and I needed some extra depth at the tight end, or even needed a tight end 1, I would trade a 5th and a 6th or a 6th and a 7th to land a guy like Jonnu Smith, who is a good tight end when he's playing and when he's in the right offense. We've seen it with Tennessee. We saw it with Atlanta last year. So I think if you're Atlanta, you need to add in talent. Obviously, quarterback's the biggest issue, but I think you could have got a couple of draft picks, or at least one good draft pick. I think mainly you could have gotten a 5th. Or you could have gotten a 6th and a 7th. I think that's what, if you were going to trade Jonnu Smith, I think that's the price that it would either be. I think you'd get a 6th and a 7, or a 5 for Jonnu Smith, knowing what he did this past season. But instead they just release him and clear some cap space. But that's what it is. Let me know your thoughts on the roster move in the comment section, and peace out.